The question that nobody will be able to answer, and nobody has answered, is what exactly is to come of all of these Epstein file releases? What does this mean? You've got the emails, so and so emailed back and forth. They might have been discussing pizza or God knows what. What does this mean? What is the result of this? They can't tell you. And the reason is there is no result. Nothing will happen. I'm sorry to say. And when I say nothing will happen is that there's nothing there. Say, for example, you're, I don't know, Bill Gates, just picking his name. And let's say he's in a bunch of very, very serious, gravely sounding emails. Okay, what are you going to do? People say, will there be an arrest? An arrest for what? An arrest for emails? Is he evincing any type of desire or plan to commit a crime or a felony? What per se do people think has been reported or whatever you want to call it? What exactly is there? I don't know. People are asking the questions, is Epstein even alive? Recently, there was a picture of somebody somewhere with a beard. They're also asking, is Ghislaine Maxwell out of prison? Somebody saw her, I believe it's AI, but she was supposedly being seen standing in a line or in a queue somewhere and smiling. And it kind of looked like her, but with blonde hair or dyed hair. The woman that is purportedly Ghislaine in prison answering questions as to the Fifth Amendment appears to be somebody other than Ghislaine. Doesn't look like her at all. So the question I have, and many people have, is what precisely is the evidence? Is anybody even here? Where are we going with this? Is there anything that's going to come from this? The most important issue that I have, and I've always had, is what about Virginia Giuffre? That's the issue. What about Virginia Giuffre? That's the issue. What about Virginia Giuffre? That is the issue. That's what is important. That's the part. Nothing. That's the part. You see, this is the thing which I'm trying to get people's attention around, but they're not really paying attention. I don't believe for a moment that her demise was because of self-harm, to use that term. I don't believe that. If I were the president of the United States, I would tell Kash Patel, now that you're done celebrating the Olympics, which I thought was kind of childish, but it's okay if you're 16 years old to act like that. With J. Edgar Hoover, I'm sorry, I think the head of the FBI should act like the head of the FBI. You think the head of the FSB would have done it? Do you think Putin's men would have acted like that? What is with this inability for us to act? Why are we acting like children? Bobby Kennedy's taking off his shirt, doing push-ups. Pete Hegseth's doing push-ups. Everybody's doing push-ups. I don't understand why this juvenile preoccupation with matters that I don't think are really important. But I digress. The question is, I would send Kash Patel to Australia immediely. And I would make sure that Kash Patel does not come back unless he has for me all of the information and all of the information regarding the toxicology reports. I want to know the reports that were done. I want pictures in the medical examiners or morgue, the individuals who did this. I want to know witnesses. We just stopped talking about this. If ever there was somebody whose dispatch, apparent, must be looked at immediately, it's Virginia Giuffre. Period. End of subject. But other than that, what are we doing? Epstein's dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is not going to answer any questions because she has the right, if that's indeed she has the right to maintain the Fifth Amendment. So what is there? What are you going to do? Many of the other women have settled. Their cases are done. They want them to be all through and finished. They're tired of this. They've moved on. This is the most important thing. They've moved on. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're done. They've got families. They've got lives. Many of these, this was a long time ago. Sometimes they're showing pictures of people. They showed one young lady who was misidentified as the daughter of somebody from, I don't know what the word is, somebody from Australia, or it was the wrong person. It was the wrong person. So the issue is, which is very, very important, the issue is very, very simply this. What exactly are you going to do about this? I don't know. And what I want to say is not to be the party pooper, but while we're at it, will somebody ever be able to explain to me what exactly happened to all of the videotapes, the recordings? What happened to all of the hard drives and floppy disks? This goes back a while. And recording and audio. His homes, his jets were recording studios. That's all they were. They were recording studios. And there were some of the most incriminating pictures you can imagine. Whatever happened to them? Who has that? I've been saying this since the beginning of time, and nobody will answer the questions. So what they're doing is, when you have members of the Department of Justice, in essence, refusing to answer the most obvious of questions, am I out of my league by asking, are they in on it? It sounds terrible. Is the Department of Justice in on it? If nobody's answering these questions, why do I have to ask these questions? Why? It's like they haven't said anything. Everybody was screaming, release the files, release the files, release the files. Now it's release the unredacted. Okay, fine. So aside from that, out of the millions of pages that have already been researched and reviewed by many great independent civilian citizens, or journalists, I should say, what about those? What about those? What I'm trying to tell you is that, what do we know? What do we know? What do we have? What's the evidence? What was the big reveal? What was it? Can you tell me? Can anybody tell me? I can't figure it out. Because for the life of me, it seems like we have yet again an example of nothing. 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 Now, let me also explain something to you. And please don't think I'm trying to act as a wet blanket. I'm not trying to ruin people's excitement. I know that people were so happy because they felt like, finally we have some evidence of something. And I know it's difficult. And I know that, when you expect something to be revealed over a long enough period of time, you kind of, expect it to be. But here is the issue. Question number one, and I want you to ask your friends this. What was Jeffrey Epstein? What was he? Was he a sextortionist? Was he somebody whose sole goal was to lure captains of industry over to his islands and Zorro Ranch and to catch them in compromising positions? Is that it? Is that what he was supposed to do? Or was that tangential? Was that collateral to what he really did? I submit it was collateral. And the question also was, where did he come from? Les Wexner was this fellow who the other day testified. You might have seen this. This was the elderly gentleman who apparently was going on a little too much. And his lawyer whispered to him something to the effect of, I'm going to effing kill you. It was a joke. If you ask or say anything, or if you answer a question with more than 5 words. And I thought it was very good advice, and I understood. It was good lawyerly advice. But do you know who Les Wexner is? Do you know who he was? Who? Is that it? He didn't take the 5th. He was answering questions. He didn't take the 5th because he had no reason to fear any kind of incrimination. or had no reason to fear a prosecution. Who is he? Jeffrey Epstein goes back to the gun running days, weapons trading, from Adnan Khashoggi. This guy is as hardcore in that realm. But the issue is, why would he be? He's never had any experience whatsoever. I don't think he went to college. I know you've heard this before, and I'm going to say it again. He was a teacher at the Dalton School. Now, in New York, it's supposed to be one of these fancy schmancy Upper East Side private schools where the wealthy and the intelligent and all these people went. How did they hire Jeffrey Epstein to teach, what was it, calculus? I don't even know. He didn't even have a degree. Bill Barr's father was responsible for that. Now, I'm not saying Bill Barr's father was important, but don't you think somewhere along the line, if you work for and you are an esteemed member, I don't know if he was headmaster of this prestigious school, why would you put somebody on who has no degree? I mean, I'm not trying to be, not priggish. I'm not trying to be uppity about this thing, but normally there has to be some educational provenance. Why is that? Why doesn't anybody ask any questions? Is that beyond the realm of possibility? Can we not talk about those things? And then later, what was it, Bear Stearns? He went and he was in this position of working for, it was almost like he was selected to be, and he was anointed to be this big money powerhouse when he had no experience. They just gave it to him. How did this happen? How did heads of state? Anyway, that's the question. Not what did the email say. Not whether did he and Woody Allen say some terrible things. I don't know. And by the way, there's also another tangential issue. It's simply this. Why do so many people who were so smart, potentially, why would so many people write such terrible things in emails? Emails. Why? Carlo Gambino of the Gambino crime family never spoke on the phone. This is before the days of wiretaps. He just knew, I'm talking into a recording machine. Somebody's going to overhear what I'm saying. How did people seem to speak with impunity? How did these people go for so long and just not care? How? Where is the... I know there's been a reveal of this huge tranche of documents, but where is the follow-up? Where is the investigation? Where is the Warren Commission, so to speak, or not? Well, they're all phony baloney. Let me tell you what I suspect, what we need to do. Eventually, we as citizens are going to come up with our own. We might pick a Tucker Carlson, maybe a Glenn Beck, I don't know, an Alex Jones, whoever we think is able to handle this. Probably not Beck because he's compromised. But maybe somebody like Candace Owens, who I happen to think the world of. And she comes up with something which is a version of the Sart or the Russell Tribunal. You might not remember this, but after the Vietnam War, there were these independent intellectuals who put these kind of rolling, traveling tribunals on called the Russell or the Sart or Sartre, if you're the hip coolster, tribunals. And they wanted to find out the origins of the Vietnam War, how this happened, who lied, what the documents are, what the evidence was, etc. It was as though this is what the government would have done had they not done it. It's Project Disclosure does that. Years ago, there was this, have you ever seen Private Camille, Camil, it was called, was it Winter Soldier or Summer Soldier, where these Vietnam veterans would speak about the atrocities they've seen while they were in Vietnam, these horrible, horrible, terrible events that they saw. And what they did was, on their own, on their own, they came up with these tribunals. That's what we need to do. So what I'm trying to do is I'm not trying to be the party pooper here. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, this is a waste of time. No, it's a very good thing, but we don't know anything. The real issue is not whether Epstein was some kind of a sextortionist. The issue is who backed him. What were the information? What how do I say this? What compromising position was, or what compromising information was gathered? And by the way, once this is found, this is radioactive material. You could have theoretically materials that show CSAM, child sexual abuse material, and this would be radioactive. So they should go into almost like a skiff room or center to determine somebody's got to review this. So we need stage 2, step 2. Thank you for introducing this. Now let our citizen influencers and many of our brothers and sisters here in the world of the media and the conspiratorium, so to speak, go through this, pour through this, but find out specifically what it was. Because unless you do this, my friend, it is a waste of time. Thank you very much for watching. I've got some questions for you to answer. I appreciate your involvement, your suggestion. Please like this video. Liking it is critical. Please subscribe to the channel. 70% of the people who read our stuff and watch our stuff don't even subscribe, so we need that. And also, your interaction is very, very important. I thank you for this. I wish you the best, and I offer you politely, I beseech and entreat you to comment as you see fit.